everybody. Welcome back to another episode of VCTV. I think somebody has to put themselves on mute. So welcome back to another episode of VCTV. Today we're going to discuss about remote medical services in health tech, the investments and the startups around that space. So my name is Sunny Mohanty. I'm the Regional Director of LaToken based here in Singapore, and I host VCTV. And I'm always excited to be on VCTV with my panel of speakers. So yes, let's have a quick round of intro of the speakers of the panel today. There you go. Welcome, Vandana, Kingsley, Shrikant, and Gary. Welcome back on another episode of VCTV. And I'm very excited and happy to have all of you back. This is the happy family hour, happy hour, whatever hour you can just say this. I see the happy smiling faces, and that makes me very much happy as well. I'm very happy today. So yeah, so great. That's about me and that's about VCTV. I'm excited as always to host this show. Let's start with a quick round of intro and background. I'm going to start with the lady, Vandana. Vandana, hi, welcome back. How are you?
Hi, Sunny. Thank you. And it's always lovely to see your smiling face and all the others panelists' smiling faces. And thank you for having me here. I was in Singapore and Jakarta, 15 years in investment banking. I had my own family office fund there. This is my 7th year back in India. I did some investments, then I went back to advisory. So currently I'm connected with 300 investors globally, and I do pick up global deals. So please feel free to reach out to me.
Excellent. So that's Vandana Tulani. And welcome back, Vandana. Next up, Kingsley Kobayashi from Kobayashi Group. Hi, Kingsley. Welcome back.
Hi, Sonny. How you doing? You are not just happy today. You are happy every day. You put a smile on all our faces, and that is great. Good to see your son. I think my wife already did a good job today, so already introduced us. My name is Kingsley Kobayashi. I'm the founder of Kobayashi Group, Hurricanes International, Hurricanes Investment, HBK Pharmaceuticals. We're in the hospitality business. We're in commercial real estate. So we invest in the blockchain space and traditional finance. We've been doing investment for the past 30 years. I've been in Tokyo for about 30 years already. So I happen to know both sides of the coin, what it means to be from a developing country and what it means to be in a developed country. So with that advantage, we invest in different areas in Africa, in South America, in Southeast Asia, and Japan, and America too. So you can reach me through LaToken or just Kingsley Kobayashi. Search Google or Instagram on anything you want to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Kingsley. And I got very excited after I saw Blaka on the show as well. Like, it's a family again. It's a family coming on a family show, VCTV family show.
The fact that she can do what I do, I have a meeting, I'm like, can you do this for me? And she went right away and did it. And she did it better than myself. So you have to know that we do everything together. We don't. It's a family business that we all run together.
Fantastic. That's what it should be like. Thank you, Kingsley, and welcome back.
Thank you.
Next, I have Shrikant, Dr. Shrikant. Hi, Dr. Shrikant. Welcome back on VCTV. It's been a while. How are you?
It is always a pleasure to be in VCTV and to see you, Sunny. And indeed, it was a pleasure to meet Mrs. Kobayashi as well in our previous panel. And I'm Dr. Shrikant Pathasarthi. I act as a legal counsel for the Forbes 500 and Saddam McCurry with Citibank. I also act as a counsel for fund houses. So I also manage their investments to the extent of evaluating investments and so on and so forth. So looking forward to a great talk about health tech, which is very close to my heart.
Okay, awesome. Welcome back, and good to see you back as well on VCTV. Great. Last but not least, Gary. Hi, Gary. I see a smiling Gary, and I'm happy today.
Well, I was just thinking that Shrikant said, about the health tech. I like it because it's very close to my heart. So He's a cardiologist too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. And he
A
said,
lawyer
it,
and a
I was
doctor.
listening to
Wow.
his words.
Lawyer and a doctor and a VC. Wow, what a combo.
All in one. No, but
Yeah.
it was really interesting. Anyhow, it's good to see friendly faces today. And my name's Gary Fowler. I'm a serial entrepreneur, investor. I love artificial intelligence and quantum computing. I've done 17 companies, 2 unicorns. I'm the CEO, president, co-founder of GST Get Shit Done Venture Studios, premier AI and quantum venture studio in Silicon Valley. And our belief is that that intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world, but opportunities aren't. So that's why we travel to all places in Africa, all over the world, looking for those incredible opportunities that have a chance to go global.
Fantastic. Great. Welcome, Gary, Srikant, Dr. Srikant, Kingsley, King, and Vandana. So, so yes, I saw your Black House post. King is here on VCTV, so I thought of just addressing you as King as well.
Thank you.
So yes, we are all done. Well, sorted with the round of introductions. Today we're going to talk about investments in remote medical services. So the patient-provider relationship in the cornerstone of is the cornerstone of healthcare. Over the course of the COVID-19 pandemic, which is still ongoing, that relationship moved almost entirely online. Telehealth visits accounted for as many as 60% patient visits during 2020 and has gone down since then. But as we eye a future where in-person appointments open up again, some patients will eagerly book time with their PCP, while others will be happily use virtual tools to get care whenever possible. That means healthcare systems need to be prepared for a range of care options to meet patients' expectations. Okay, so what do you see? What kind of trends do we see in remote healthcare medical services in 2021? I mean, beyond 2020, what do we see? I mean, is it going to be here to stay, or there's going to be a hybrid model? We're going to discuss a little bit about hybrid model later on. So Vandana, we can start with you, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure, definitely. What I see is that I could just tell you about the deals that I'm doing. I feel that that will give you a better idea. So there is one super app providing multiple services and easy health features. It is a one-stop shop for all health, beauty, and fitness products, and it is specialized in medicines, lab tests, nursing at home, and multiple subscription packages. Then I'm looking at one deal which has stem cells used to cure a lot of health issues. I'm sure you must have heard about smart pills as well. Smart pills have come out in the open, and they help us detect what is the problem which each one of us have inside the body. Then we are also looking at a SaaS-based model with healthcare providers that is combined with mapping of insurance providers, strategic partnerships, and in-house technology that allows us to gain leadership and a differentiated position in the market. And we are successfully disrupting the concept of connected care by facilitating real-time digital communication between patients and providers, including in-person consultations and telehealth and secure electronic communications between clinicals and their patients. Then there is a platform that enables active aging for people aged 60 and above. This platform has been founded by a group of entrepreneurs and experts in aged care and in its leadership team. And the company enables active aging through offerings that are subscription based and aim to address the clinical and social needs of elders at the comfort of their homes. And addition to this, it also provides high-end bespoke assisted living and memory care facilities specializing in dementia in case the elder needs specialized assistance with daily living due to age-related disorders. Then we are also working with a deal when an early stage, it's a revenue making health tech startup, which is based out of NCR, and they have a complete healthcare solution. It is an ecosystem where patients get world class treatments, even in the remotest area of India. So, so these are some of the deals which I am doing.
Thank you, Vandana. Thank you for sharing that, sharing those information with us and our viewers. I'd like to go ask Gary next. How has telehealth evolved out of the COVID pandemic?
Yeah, so I can tell you a direct example. So I started a health tech company called the Zemply. I'm the co-founder of Zemply. Actually, she's Indian American at Stanford MBA, and it came out of our own experience dealing with the elder care with my father. And so what we did is we understood that this is a huge problem in a lot of parts of the world. There's an aging population. At the same time, the quality of care. So what we did on that side is that we actually put sensors in. So I'll give you a direct example from my father. I put about $90,000 into his house. I redid his house. I brought in 2 full-time caregivers, 24/7. And as a psychologist, I understood that part of living longer and living better is your mental state.
Yeah.
Are you optimistic and hopeful? So with that being said, I went to the nursing home. Nursing home in the U.S. is $14,000 a month. So, and they wanted 5 years up front. So 5 years times, $14,000 a month in escrow. And I was like, this is insane. This is crazy. And because the average person lives about 18 months in a nursing home, and that's it. They die. So I said, well, geez, it's my dad. What can I do? So anyhow, what we did is we wired up his house. I put sensors inside of his house, cameras inside of his house, and I brought staff in. They said he was going to die in a week, and my father lived 3 years. They said he'd never walk and talk again. He walked and talked and bitched. He really bitched. It was the first time, I got to tell you, I've ever heard somebody bitch, and I liked it because he was like, I don't know why somebody cut my tree down. And I was, oh man, he's I don't like potatoes like this. I think I've told you a few times, that kind of thing. And
right.
He was pretty easy to get along with, but he would do that. Anyhow, what I understood is that, first of all, it costs a lot of money. So I put money, I looked at it as a project. Of course, I wanted my dad to live longer, but what we did is we understood that this is a big problem throughout the U.S. and a lot of the world with an aging population. How do we actually help people live longer and better quality lives? So we installed that. We started a company called Zemply. Zemply is one of the top 7 aging in place companies in the U.S. today. That company's so a partner, Pujar, who's my partner in that, is a Stanford MBA, undergraduate degree in engineering. So we actually built it with artificial intelligence. We built the company around it. And it just so happened she went through the same thing as I did at the same time. And that's how we came together. And of course, my partner, Derek, is involved in the company too. Point is, these are some of the areas that we don't talk about a lot that are really underserved. So what we need to do is coming into the pandemic, really put this on right at the forefront because people didn't want to go into nursing homes and they needed to be cared at the house. So obviously the business went through the roof. Those are where some of the opportunities are. If we look at today with remote health tech, at the beginning of the pandemic, doctors, didn't want to see people unless we came in the office. Then once you have COVID, it was a whole lot easier because, they didn't want to die. So we have now really an opportunity, and I don't know if you mentioned smart pills and nanobots and those kind of things, but this is the next generation of what's going to happen. So imagine having a pill that'll course correct so we can understand, is there some metastasis of cells, cancer cells in your body, and to be able to understand before it's a problem. those kind of the technologies. And a doctor can be anywhere. It's not like you have to be in their office to look at it. So this is where it's moving very, very quickly. At the same time, it's democratizing opportunity, because it doesn't matter if I'm in Lagos, Nigeria, or San Francisco, California, or Singapore. It just matters whether or not there's a doctor that can analyze. And by the way, you won't even need a doctor at some point, because the artificial intelligence and machine learning will be able to make decisions for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you so much, Gary and Vandana, for elaborating, so the trends for 2021. So I'd like to go next with Kingsley. So how has telehealth, because we're talking about medical services. So all right. How has telehealth evolved out of the pandemic? Can you?
Yeah, we are all aware that the pandemic has helped to catapult telehealth to a different level. Fortunately, I live in a country where you have more elderly people than anywhere else in the world, Japan. And they have a system that works. They have a system where you put a normal boiling kettle to boil water. And if she puts on the kettle on in the morning, they know she's okay. They've been doing teleconsultation for a long time with elderly people. So when it comes to where we are going with healthcare in the nearest future, we are looking at teleconsultation, and we are also looking at what infrastructure do they have in those areas of the country. Well, when you talk of Japan or developed countries, they already have those infrastructure in place. When you talk of developing countries, they don't even have old people's home. So education will also come in here. How do you educate people to give CPR at home if the doctor is not there? If the ambulance does not come, or there's no nursing, anybody that is literate in that aspect. So there's a lot of education awareness that need to be put out there for people to know what to do in different situations. Okay, right now with the pandemic, you don't expect pregnant women or people who just have plastics, whatever surgery, to go to the hospital to get medicine. So what do? You consult them, you send them medicine, and in Japan we already have drones taking medicine to people. On the other side of the island, there's an island, I forgot the name right now, that it is hard to reach, but they put the medicine in the drones, and the drones deliver the medicine. You also have the one. You also have the robot that walks the street. So the medicine is given to you. The pharmacist put the medicine in. It's like a big vehicle, but controlled to go to your house, deliver the medicine to you. So this is how far we have gone. Even when you go to the airports, you have cleaning machines that is cleaning, making sure that everything is disinfected instead of human beings doing it. So this is how far Japan has gone in that. But will you see this kind of technology in developing countries? No, you won't. You don't even have infrastructure for it. So awareness, education, we have to go step by step, like I always say. Yes, Japan, America, Singapore is moving faster, but the others will catch up. While we are fading away this kind of innovation in these countries, we should be giving those innovations to countries who are just coming up, so that you can learn from them. You cannot just jump from primary school to high school or to secondary school. You have to go through the process. So that's what I believe. I believe HealthTech is here to stay. HealthTech innovation is here to stay. Telemedicine is here to stay. But we still need more awareness for those who are not aware of it. We need to copy from countries like Japan and that have a lot of old people that they are caring for, and it needs to be affordable. Urbanization has not helped, because in the olden days, if you have a child and your child have a child, means you have a grandchild, normally the children will come and play with the dad or the mom during holidays. We don't have that. We don't have that system anymore, because you are probably in Singapore and your grandparents are in India. So they're not going to go all the way to India to go and stay with their grandparents. So the loneliness of the elderly becomes very obvious, because they are lonely. There are no young ones to play with them. But in the olden days, they always had young children to play around with them. So there's a lot of innovations that need to be done. There are there are robots right now that help take care of elderly people and sick people. There are robots that take care of the house in Japan. So there's a lot of development in the AI robotics section of in this part of the world.
Very nicely explained as well. So we're talking about remote medical services today, and I totally agree with the points that Kingsley just highlighted. Thank you so much for sharing those with us and the audience as well. It's very helpful.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Thank you. Next up, Dr. Shrikant. Again, same question. We're discussing investments in remote medical services. So how has telehealth evolved out of the pandemic so far?
So the interesting case study in this regard would be the event which took place about a month back, where the Minister of Health actually said that you could dial up a national helpline in India, and you could get the doctor on call. So I'm going to go back to a bit of a history over here. When I got COVID about 5 months back, what happened was I was tracked through the phone. So the doctor used to call me 3 times a day, and this is the government that we're talking about, right? The doctor is calling me 3 times a day. The pills are being delivered to me at home. I'm taking my medicines, and the pills are getting delivered on a day-to-day basis, and so on and so forth. So the telemedicine concept has really reached new levels by apps which provide for video consultation and so on and so forth. So I think the focus of telemedicine would be to empower the customer or the end user with a higher resolution of camera, or with devices which actually enable the doctors to take better decisions sitting thousands of miles away. So I could get a neonatal specialist who's sitting in Dubai, who could monitor my child over here. And this is very interesting because yesterday I got my son vaccinated uh, for his 10th year vaccination, or so on and so forth. And I had to travel all the way to the doctor's place to get him vaccinated. Now, the alternatives that were available to me, instead of me going all the way, was that the doctor would come directly to my house and administer the vaccine. So I don't see a day far away where the vaccination would be administered by a registered nurse, but it would be monitored by a doctor who I prefer in the States or in the UK or in Dubai, and so on and so forth. So that has really gone up a notch, I would say, in telemedicine in India at least. I
Yeah, great.
spent zero cents, zero
Yeah,
cents. I didn't
really?
spend a cent when the government was teleconsulting me, and this was happening over a 15-day period. So imagine the potential.
Oh, wow. Was it because of the pandemic they were making it free for everyone, or?
Yes, the government was basically sponsoring it, and telemedicine is the easiest. I mean, it's the cheapest thing to sponsor. All you need to pay is the doctor's 10 minutes or the 15 minutes cost, and the doctor is able to put his or her name with the government associated. I mean, it's a win-win on both sides, right?
Yes, yes. Wow. Great, great, great points shared on the panel today. And thank you so much, Dr. Shrikant, again, for sharing that example with our audience and other speakers here as well. So, yes. So let's discuss about the best practices which we have in place for patient and the service provider experience. So let's discuss some best practices. Then I'm going to come to regulations a little bit. I'm going to start with maybe Gary. So Gary, what best practices we have for a patient and a provider experience?
So, do you mean in terms of the regulations, or what aspect of it do you want?
We can touch upon regulations as well. You can start with regulations if you wish
I
to.
mean, the situation is, so today, it's really streamlining the experience between the patient and the doctor, and as Shrikant, alluded to, it's not just about having the doctor on the video call. It's about the data that comes from that visit, and the types of devices, these sensors, the IoT, that's out there that can really provide that information, because it's all about the data, right? And so what practices we're going to have: privacy and security. We've got compliance issues. What type of privacy? In the US is called HIPAA. Are we compliant or not? And of course, now as we're online and we're using more and more of these services, we need to understand that the bad actors, the bad characters are out there going to be trying to get information from us. So cybersecurity comes right up at the top. How do we go down through? The other thing is, how do you know, on one side, I mean, think about what the world's going to evolve to. We're going to not have real doctors. They're going to be avatar doctors on the other side, just to make you feel good. They're not going to be real. They're going to be like Soman AI. They're going to be, I don't want to say fake, but they're going to be artificial intelligence, and they're going to start to make the decisions for you. So it's really this evolution of the model and the kind of practices leading up to it. What is the edge? Where do humans and AI separate? When is that going to happen? How are we going to deal with it? How are we going to deal with regulations? The other thing is, think about it today. It's not just about being in India or Singapore or Africa or Japan. It's about cross-border. So if for the foreseeable future, how do I find the best doctor that's a cardiologist that can give advice as part of a team? That's what you want. Think about that opportunity, right? Imagine if you have a new, an AI-based platform that can basically source the best doctors in the world to be able to help you understand how to address that disease or disorder. That's where this thing starts to become really interesting. And I'm looking at that because it's not about one country. It's about how to be able to get the best advice. Then also how to use artificial intelligence and the platforms out there to be able to aggregate it and to be able to dispense it appropriately. So we've got cybersecurity, we've got access to information, and of course we've got Internet of Things. They're going to converge. It's going to convert. Hi, Kartik. It's going to converge, and it's happening very, very quickly. The pandemic has pushed us forward. Look at it. It was last year, by the way, there was almost $14 billion that was spent in this whole remote medicine and diagnostic experience. 14 billion. It was up 43% from the previous year. That's how much of a focus the pandemic has really put on it. So from our standpoint, what we need to do is we need to understand privacy and security. At the same time, we need to get the best doctors at the best place at the best time.
Thank you, Gary, for explaining it so nicely. So, Kartik, welcome to VCTV. We just started. It's been 15 minutes, I guess, into the show. Thanks. Nearly 30 minutes. Good to have you on the show. Hope your connections are good today, and you're not going to be freezing on us.
I got caught on a wrong side of a time warp. For all the practical reasons, I thought 12 p.m. UK is 4 p.m. UAE, and I suddenly realized that we've lost 1 hour. So yeah, here I am, back. Happy to see everybody again. Kingsley, Gary,
Good to see you, bro. Good to see you. How you doing?
Great. So, Kartik, we just discussed about the trends of today. We're discussing about investments in remote medical services only. We touched base on telehealth. Now we are discussing about regulations and best practices for patient and provider experience. So, would you like to share something about that? As just joined.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as a family office, and we are very, very proud of the fact that during the pandemic, as a family office, health/telehealth startups and initiatives taken by three different geographies. And today, we've crossed more than 108,000 subscriptions or medical treatments provided in three geographies. One of them is in Kenya, one of them is in Uganda, and one is in Sri Lanka. And we've been able to do that. Now we are building a template on managing blood sugar remotely and managing oxygen levels remotely through certain devices that would be plugged in with the patients. We're investing very heavily in remote imaging technology, primarily to understand the functionalities of a radiologist that cannot be managed at a ground. Working with Saudi German is one of the largest chains of hospital in the Middle East. I think they're the ones who are working on remote laparoscopic surgery we've been toying with the idea of investing into it, but as a family office, the quantum of investment crosses the threshold that we require. But otherwise, a wonderful space to be. And I heard Gary talking about the investments. I think one of the largest investments in remote health in last 12 months has come in from Saudi, which is typically a 1.4 billion government funding towards providing remote healthcare and health supervision to 21 African nations which are affiliated with Saudi Arabia. So I think massive opportunity for the business to grow in this part of the world. Yeah.
Massive opportunity, rightly said. Thank you, Karthik. Dr. Shrikant, let's just hear it from you. What are the best practices for the patient and provider experience generally? And we can touch base on a little bit of regulation as well if you wish to, because you just explained how government has been very supportive during the pandemic with providing sponsored healthcare services. So over to you, please.
Yeah, so let me don my legal hat over here, and let me pretend that all the books behind me have come down to my mind for a few seconds or a few minutes. Okay, so the best practices would be that the medical council or the global medical practice as such has a particular standard or a protocol to follow in terms of how a patient is treated when the patient is arriving to the hospital. There are protocols that are established, so we need not toy more with the whole idea, or we need not say that there needs to be more process with it. So, but what makes the telemedicine more attractive or or more susceptible to regulation is the fact that the advice that you give on a phone or the advice that you give on a WhatsApp or a app, would that constitute a medical advice, right? Or would that constitute a valid prescription in cases where you have certain questions around anxiety and which are scheduled medicines and so on and so forth? So the regulatory part is more of in terms of whether it is allowed to prescribe, whether a registered medical practitioner can prescribe, and what is the quantity that he or she can prescribe. And in terms of best practices, I think the customer now with a post-COVID scenario wants more of doctor interaction. The doctor, I mean, we were talking about personalization in food in our previous panel, and we are talking about personalization of a doctor over here, and the doctor is just attending to us, and at a cost which is quite marginal, so to speak. And this is something that I'm building with a particular gentleman who is a qualified medical practitioner. So I feel that the best practices come around the patient experience, and two, with the regulations surrounding the gray areas of medicines which can be prescribed, which cannot be prescribed, and so on and so forth.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Shrikant, for sharing those as well with our audience and us as well. Let's hear from Vandana next.
So, Sunny, firstly, I believe that all the health issues that we attract also depends on the kind of mindset we have. If we have a positive mindset, I think we will attract, more good health. And if we have a negative mindset, we attract a lot of bad health. So I think mind and body is interconnected, and it's very important to have a healthy mind. One is that. Second is that when we go to a doctor, all the data, all our, allergy history, everything is with one doctor. If it is, easily accessible at any place and any time, it is more better, and any doctor should have access to it, or only we should have control over it, and we should be providing that to the doctor we feel comfortable with, not just one clinic having all the data. So I think because there is a lot of data to be managed, privacy needs to be secured more in, remote medical services, which is not there. For instance, WhatsApp. If we are WhatsApping the doctor, we don't know what's happening with that WhatsApp. Where is it being shared, or where it could go accidentally. That is another thing which we need to secure. I'm sure there are better services now, Telegram, but still, we have something which we need to share to a doctor in a written format on a WhatsApp, that look, I'm going through this problem. So I think that needs to be corrected as well. The other thing is that, spread of cancer. I think I had mentioned this in my previous show as well, that this technology should help to cure also diseases like cancer, wherein people should not have a lot of hair loss, or should not go through difficult treatments like chemotherapy that has a lot of side effects. Also, what is the doctor prescribing? Whether it's a steroid, whether it's what medicine, the patient should have the awareness that what is that patient taking in, and how is it going to have side effects on the patient's body. So all these things I feel are really important, and one should be really aware of what they are doing. Even in difficult times like COVID, not one should not panic and start doing things and getting themselves hospitalized and things like that in panic, but just go very calmly as to what is the next steps and what is it that is required. So these things one needs to be really careful with, because we are dealing with humans and not animals. So I think doctors should also understand that. And I think it's high time that people get used to telemedicine. Just like when Zoom had started, everybody was skeptical, about using Zoom, StreamYard. I think eventually one has to adapt themselves to use telemedicine, because to avoid any interaction and get used to the telecommunication with the doctors. I think it's quite effective as well. Many of my friends have used it, and I'm also working on a deal which has these teleclinics. Also, they are building e-hospitals. So these are my small takes on this topic today.
So did you also subscribe to this telehealth services offered by the government of India, just like Dr. Shrikant did?
So the one that I have is by a private doctor who is running these services, and they have this. There's several e-clinics. I have not prescribed to the government one. And of course, we have Max Hospital here that gives home care services. They deliver medicines at home. They give a nurse at home, a 24-hour nurse. Somebody would be checking on us. There will be 3 to 4 telemedicine calls, which we will have in a day with the doctor. There'll be somebody, talking to us if we have any psychological issues. So I think there is lots there, but one should know what to access, when to access, and what is it that we are accessing, whether it's really useful for us or we are just doing it, because we are in a panic state, or, things like that. So
Sure.
I think many people are just going panic also with what's
I
happening
think
around.
the police are back again in Delhi and Mumbai, right? In India, right? So
Delhi is in lockdown for 1 week till 26th. I'm in Haryana. It's not under lockdown. Mumbai, I'm not sure. I have not heard any confirmed news. But yes, because the virus is spreading so fast, and to avoid interaction with, people, because it's spreading and so much that we have to be under lockdown again, unfortunately.
yeah,
People are dying here like ants. So that's
very,
another thing.
very unfortunate as well, for sure. Thank you
Yes.
so much, Pamela.
Did I hear that right? Did I? Okay, I heard that right, probably.
What was that? Sorry, Karthik, come again.
Nothing. I heard that right, that people are dying like ants. That was a very, very strong sentiment. Definitely.
If Amina is so, maybe she is living there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Dr. Shrikant is also living in India, right? Dr. Shrikant, where are you?
So people are dying like ants is not the statement that I would prefer, but yes, people with comorbidities are having accelerated comorbidities, which is quite unfortunate. I think having having managed the wealth of promoters who have stake in hospitals and keenly looking at this particular space, I think the government is also doing its best. I think the private hospitals are also doing their best. There are certain unfortunate incidents that usually occur, but this is certainly unfortunate. Let's all agree on that and move on.
So I've heard a
Yeah.
lot of deaths around my area recently. A lot of elderly people have passed away. A lot of my friends have passed away. A lot of my school friends have passed away, and lots of people are passing away with this same issue that is happening here. That is why I said people are dying really fast, and it's
Yes.
really really unfortunate. Though government is at it, I understand, but. I think we still need more action here. There are also, in many countries, there are lots of scams that are also happening because people are taking undue advantage of the situation. And playing with people's minds that as well, during tests, and you must have seen the news as well. So I think these issues need to be sorted as well.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Vandana, for sharing those with us and audience. Kingsley, over to you, please.
I do. Literally speaking, I think what Vandana meant is a figure of speech. Is to stress the importance of what is happening, or the levity of what is happening around us. But the major aim of any illness, of any ailment, is to catch it on time. Catching the ailment on time is what we are all looking for. For example, in Japan, if you are 30 years as a woman, you have a free test. You have a letter sent to your house every year, I think around March or April, tell you to go and do all the tests for $5. You will do cancer test, cervical test, every test for $5 if you are 30 years old as a woman. If you are 35 years old as a man, you get a letter every year to do the same. So their aim is to catch. If you have an ailment, you catch it early and you are able to manage it. Now, remote technology, it becomes a little difficult because a lot of factors have to be put into place. Telemedicine is very easy to do, very, very easy. Teleconsultation is more difficult because you have religious beliefs or people from different parts of the world. You have personal women believe that I don't want to show my body on TV or on whatever media to this person. The trust factor is there. So how do we decide, like she said, how do we decide what part of data to leave with the doctor and what part of data not to leave with the doctor? Now, if you use Telegram, you all know that you can actually delete whatever you have posted there. You know, if you put a picture of yourself or a video of yourself, you can take that picture out. Now, there will be programs like that from now on, I believe, when you come to teleconsultation, for you to be able to say, okay, I don't want this doctor to have this information, then you delete it, whether you like it or not. But I'm also looking at a time where data is easily accessible to every doctor. It's easily accessible to those who are doing research on cancer, on different kind of ailments. Now, it has taken under a year to make different vaccines for coronavirus. Now, some of them have side effects, some of them don't. There's scam, there's no scam. It's up to the person that is taking it. But at the same time, I believe that enough is not being done by researchers to attend to other ailments that they think is monetarily advantageous to them, monetarily advantageous to this big pharmaceutical company. So personally, I do have a pharmaceutical company, but we concentrate on medicines that are affordable to the populace, medicines that have no side effect, natural medicines. So that's a different angle we also have to look at. Then we also have to look at how do we use the information using artificial intelligence. This data has been provided. Depending on your body marks, the way you suffer from diabetes and the way the other person suffers from diabetes is different. It may be the same ailment. but your weight is different, your height is different, your body, your internal factor, your external factor is different. So all these, are factors that need to be put into place when a doctor is consulting with a client. But when you don't have that person-to-person touch, there's no way I'm going to do MRI at home. I'm not going to put MRI machine in my house. It's okay. I've done an MRI. I've done a CT scan. Okay, doctor, can you analyze it? At one place or the other, we still need to go to the hospital. So how do we make this happen that we have a safe environment for normal patients that are not COVID infected or does not have infectious diseases? This has to be separated. We have not been able to do this even in Japan, or even how can they do this in developing countries? So it is difficult because the hospitals were not prepared for the overwhelming COVID pandemic. It's overwhelming for any country in the world. Fortunately, Africa is left out because Africa has been dealing with malaria for a very long time. We have to understand that. Africans have been dealing with malaria for a very long time. So they are already used to herbal medicine to boost their immune system. It's all about your immunity. So people are surprised. Even the World Health Organization is like, we need to look at what Africa is doing. They've all gone back to using natural medicine to heal themselves. Natural medicine to make sure, okay, I have this, I have that, I can boost my immunity. This is what our great-grandfathers did when there was no medical advancement. Now we have medical advancement. Are they able to cater to the growing population? As Gary says, the population is going to grow 20%, 30% more in the next 30 years. How do we cater to these people? And there's also a pill that it will take, you live up to 120 years, 130 years. With the long life expectancy, how do you create a system that will cater to everybody, not just the rich? I think this is this is the way that the technology is going to go. It's solving those problems. Max technology for people who are poor, and then more quality ones for those who are rich and can afford it.
I think if I could add something here, Kingsley sir is absolutely right when he says that, there are certain medications that you have to take as per your weight and height. And many people are not aware of that. Have you heard of tuberculosis? So in tuberculosis, a person has to take a medication for 6 months to 1 year. Based on their weight, it's the milligram of the medicine. So I think many people are not even aware of that whether they have to take 500 milligram or 650 or 250, it's based on the weight. And because they are not aware, and the doctor also sometimes forgets to make them aware of this, and a lot of health failures happen because of this. So I think I totally agree with Kingsley sir when he says that there are lots of medications that one needs when one takes, it's based on the weight and height as well.
So while I've been listening very patiently, and I love the argument, I think after implementing 3 telemedicine and cyber medicine ecosystems in last 2 years, I think what we are missing is we are looking at the fallacies of the system, but unfortunately, it is the only way that NHS has been able to unclog its entire ecosystem. Healthcare is broken down into 4 for all of us to understand. It's lifestyle, preventive, curative, wellness, and lifestyle. We necessarily cannot get into a curative healthcare to telemedicine because that is risking a lot. But preventive, maintenance, and wellness lifestyle healthcare, if siphoned off onto telemedicine successfully, paves way for health infrastructure to be made available at the bottom of the pyramid. Cyber attacks, definitely, the cybersecurity in telemedicine, cyber medicine, remote medicine is a challenge. But the larger good is about making the medical facility available at the bottom of the pyramid. Europe today has 1 medical practitioner for every 7,900 residents. If you'd be surprised, Congo has 1 medical practitioner for 227,000 people who live in that geography. That's 34 times. Now, when you look at a 34x multiple, cyber attacks, security issues wouldn't be relevant when people are not able to get a basic cure for dysentery, diarrhea, malaria, or for that matter, even fever. they wouldn't be worried about whether their data is leaked. And then there are multiple ways in which data is getting leaked. Facebook also leaks data, and banking infrastructure systems have also been leaking data. But when you get your primary healthcare tended by medical practitioners with a far better pedigree from far better medical institutions globally, you are providing a far better service at a much lower cost to a geography which was deprived of healthcare. And to me, that seems to be a larger cause, a larger good in terms of making healthcare available.
Yes, I was actually coming to cyber security for healthcare providers. Thank you, Karthik, for adding that on. And I saw your message as well about NHS has been able to divert 18% of the primary healthcare load to telemedicine.
Imagine if NHS were to spend its infrastructure on curing cold, fever, measles, and mumps, it wouldn't have doctors available to cure COVID. And that's where your primary healthcare needs to go in. So you need to move your primary health or primary medical services onto a telemedical platform.
Yes, absolutely. Totally agree on that. So talking about, thank you so much, Karthik and Kingsley and Vandana for adding those points. Talking about cyber attacks. So in seconds, cyber attacks can undo time and resources that a healthcare service provider has spent building a solid business. An increase in the activity of the virus during this pandemic showed that hackers won't hesitate to prey on healthcare organizations when they are most vulnerable, right? So what is being done in this space, and what are some of the real common mistakes made in the healthcare cybersecurity space that can be avoided? Gary, cybersecurity specialist.
I don't know if I'm a cybersecurity specialist, but I have, I have a company in the cybersecurity space.
That's what I meant.
So, the challenge is what needs to be done is awareness. So, number one is awareness, and as we know, as we're developing these incredible artificial intelligence capabilities, services, software, etc. With it comes I feel like Spider-Man with great responsibility, right? With great power has great responsibility. But it's absolutely true because, we're now developing systems in AI and quantum that can hack just about everything. So the problem is we've had to move so quickly during this pandemic that we've had to roll out systems. It was I don't know where, I think Karthik was talking about it. The basic services, we're concerned about keeping people alive, and so they wouldn't be like ants. And how can we do that in a better and more efficient fashion? So we weren't really thinking about the cybersecurity aspect because people, it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You don't think about the bottom of the pyramid. If you're dying, you want to go to the take care of your issues at hand. Your healthcare issues at hand, you're not thinking about the overall cybersecurity and other called comfort kind of things. But now's the time to think about it, because if we build these structures up and we don't focus on cybersecurity, like decentralized cybersecurity, we won't be able to defend against these attacks. Part of it is, doctors are so busy doing what they're doing, the last thing they're thinking about is whether things are secure. The problem is, there's guys like Shrikant, right, in the U.S. side, but there are lawyers out there, and if your information is compromised, you can end up in a very serious lawsuit. So on one side, we need to get the job done to keep people alive. On the other side, they don't want to lose their house. So it's a very interesting situation. So from my standpoint, what needs to happen is we just need to raise the bar. People, doctors, individuals, hospitals need to understand that security and privacy, again, need to be number one. It's one thing or at the equal level, because if we don't look at it now, nothing good is going to happen in another couple of years. Nothing. You can already see the bad actors out there. They're going into grids. They're screwing around with grids. Some of it's geopolitical. And, the capability. I remember I had a couple of months ago, I had a four-star admiral, the number 2 guy in the U.S. military, on my show. Bill Owen was the number 2 guy in the White House. And he said, we're talking about cyber attacks offline. I mean, there's, you can flip a switch. It's not like it was before. And flip a switch and things can happen. Now imagine using unsupervised AI. I mean, it can go everywhere. Now with quantum at 100 million times faster than a supercomputer coming at you. So my suggestion is we start to look at it. It's not just for healthcare, by the way. This is across the board because they're going to be looking for vulnerabilities to get in. Healthcare happens to be just one of them.
Absolutely, absolutely, and rightly explained, Gary, on the cyber attacks and hacking. Obviously, when you are like, especially when the pandemic started, nobody was thinking about it. Even the people.
Well, you're thinking about whether or not you're going to live. I mean, think about it. Vandana's right. I mean, it's my mother-in-law died about a week and a half ago from COVID after being sick for a week, right? And so this is really serious stuff. And, people are trying on the other side of it, we're trying to take it lightly and come out and understand that, we want to go to restaurants and all that. But I'm telling you, it's not, if you're not vaccinated, be careful because this stuff is wicked. We talked to her in the morning and an hour later she's dead, right? I mean, it's crazy. So this pandemic is very similar to what happened in 1918 during the Spanish flu, and also in 1816 when a volcano erupted in Mount Tambor, Indonesia, created a cataclysmic event across the world. It's very similar to that. We haven't been used to it because we haven't faced it. But about every 100 years, some kind of event happens. This happens to be one of them. By the way, this is not the worst one that could have happened. By far, there's some other diseases out there that can happen, infections, viruses that can kill like 90%, right? Who get it, that are a whole lot worse than what we have. So what we want to do is we need to come up with systems to be able to identify, like we did with AI and drug discovery. During the pandemic, Pfizer used IBM Watson for drug modeling instead of bench time to rapidly develop the vaccine. So those kind of technologies need to be looked at.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Gary, Karthik, Dr. Shrikant, Kingsley, Vandana, for sharing great insights about remote medical services. So we all agree that telemedicine or remote medical services are here to stay. And what about, so do we think we're going to see a hybrid model going forward, like a bit of physical and virtual? I mean, this virtual thing is going to stay forever. Do we agree on that as closing remarks? Karthik?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I think virtual would augment the entire treatment protocol or medical protocol. You visit a doctor and then you don't need to see him often. You can show your face once in 4 days and he'll evaluate you, and that's about it. You reduce your time, you reduce your effort, you reduce the cost, and free up the doctor's time to see a lot of other patients. How the healthcare practitioners or how medical fraternity lets the system evolve and regulate it is something that will determine the investments into it. But like everything else, healthcare definitely has a very strong potential to be online.
Great, thank you. Dr. Shrikant, so what's your closing remarks on this thought about hybrid model?
No, so we have gotten used to, or we have had a flavor of telemedicine, and we know that it works, right? I mean, there's no going back from. So the way I see it is, there's no going back from here. I think the progress from here would be the global consultation and the need for global doctors situated in the States or in London, and having a local nurse over here and able to coordinate and so on and so forth. So I think the physical element is going to be only that much. And if you see the typical, I mean, apart from COVID, the typical reasons why you visit a doctor is for the cough and flu and cold and one of those run-of-the-mill things. I mean, in India we get these pills, this OTC, which is quite unfortunate. But I think in the future it's going to be more of the even in the developed nations or in the West, I think the prescriptions is just going to be. I think the question is going to be around the legality of this prescription so prescribed, and the extent to which further on examinations can happen. For example, if an MRI has to take place, can that happen at home, or should that happen in a physical facility? Is something that needs to be pondered upon.
That's a great point. Thank you, Dr. Shrikant. Kingsley, over to you. So do you think, as a closing remark, future of healthcare is going to be a hybrid model with in-person and virtual services?
Yes, definitely. As all the other panelists have said, I think it's going to be a marriage of everything together. You're going to have the way of life matters a lot. For example, here in Japan, you don't wear your shoes inside the house. When you come to the door, you remove your shoes. It has become a custom that people are used to. If you have ordinary flu, you put on a mask. They've been wearing masks since 1958. So and then going for walks. You go to the park here, you see old men walking around, whereas in other countries you see them sitting down just drinking. So people have to be given awareness of how do you better take care of yourself. What kind of food do you need to eat when you have this kind of image? How do you better your living by doing this kind of exercise? And then you're going to have the traditional doctors who will still see you and check you. And then you're going to have the telemedicine and teleconsultation that is all blended together for you to have a better living. For you to have a better living, you have to have a little bit of all these things. Over technology, I believe, will not be good. All that technology will also not be good. So marrying all these together, creating a hybrid for every individual, specifically because we are all different. We are all different animals. I still believe we are animals, but just the higher grade of animal because we use our brains. But we are not much different because everybody that is used for us is tested animal first. Right? So if we have all these data that have to be used and artificial intelligence works on them, and then you have the fear of cyber attack. Honestly, I don't care if anybody have my data. You can have it. Let me get well. Let me get rid of that image. I really don't. I'm really not concerned about you knowing that I have this or have that. I want to get rid of the illness. And I believe that people that are sick should have control over what they take or don't take. Because right now you have government saying you cannot have this medicine. And he is dying. He should have a choice to say, I will try it anyway. It is not approved yet, but if he's going to die anyway, let him have the right to try it and die knowing that he has tried something and satisfy his mind. They should not be denied of that. So you have a lot of things. Regulations is restricting how medicines are made. Restricting people from using it. Approvals have been delayed for reasons they don't know because they don't even have the expert to find out how does this work. So they have to create the expert to find out before they approve it. So we have a long process to go. So we just have it's going to be a hybrid. We're going to need the collaboration of every government of every country and every region, and we're going to need data control of doctors because right now people actually live from developed countries. They are ordinary nurses, and they go to a developing country and open a hospital and call themselves doctor, so and so, PhD, so and so. Whereas they're not even a doctor, and they start having operation and killing people. I am aware of people that have died in their hands, and then you go to the hospital, the hospital is gone. So there's a big fraud out there that is happening. People are taking advantages. Like my godfather died because the antibiotics they were given to him was fake antibiotics. They had chalk inside. It was not medicine. They had chalk. People are greedy. Instead of people buying the real antibiotics, they go ahead and capsulate chalk to give to people after operation. This is wrong. People are capitalizing on people's illnesses, and that should not be happening.
Great thoughts, great points, Kingsley, for sharing that with a lot of energy and enthusiasm. Where can people find you? We've got a viewer. Is there anywhere we can get in touch directly with the speakers? Where can they find you?
You can find me on Kingsley at KingsleyKobayashi.com. You can find me on Instagram, Kingsley Kobayashi, my official Facebook page, Kingsley Kobayashi, Twitter. You can find me on just search engine, Kingsley Kobayashi, and I'm everywhere. You know what I'm doing. If you have a good project, bring it my way and we.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. Where can they find you, Vandana?
You can find me on LinkedIn, on my website, www.convanto.com, and you can reach me via Latokan as well.
Perfect. Where can they find you, Dr. Srikanth?
Go to Dr. Shrikant Pathasarthi. There'll be too many Dr. Shrikant Pathasarthis. Go to the one with the legal and the PhD background. That is the only one who is the real me on LinkedIn.
So the real me, the real identity of Dr. Shrikant. Thank you so much. So Gary, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Gary Fowler. You can also catch me on Twitter. I'd like to hear from you.
Excellent. I think we've lost Karthik again for his connection issues. So awesome. We had a great session today. I got to learn a lot, catch up on Dr. Shrikant, catch back. I think, catch up after a long time with Dr. Shrikant. Kingsley, Vandana, Gary, Karthik, family, VCTV family hour, as always, we say. So thank you for sharing your insights, so deep insights on this panel today. And I'm going to see you again on another episode of VCTV. So again, I'll just like to tell my viewers, thanks for your support and thanks for supporting VCTV by engaging our speakers. It's really important for the show. Thank you so much. And again, all of you, see you again on another episode. Till then, stay safe.
You guys have a good night. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Stay safe.